Good evening. I'd like to call this evening's King's Local Schools Board of Education regular meeting to order. Mr. Morrow, could you please call the roll?
Miss Phillips,
Here.
Miss Groff,
Here.
Miss Cowan,
Here.
Mr. Skrull,
Here.
Mr. Belfrom.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. May I please have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Miss Phillips,
Yes.
Miss Groff,
Yes.
Miss Cowan, Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. Next on the agenda are the reports and presentations for this evening. I'll turn it over to Mr. Sears.
Yes. Thank you, President Belford. We have three presentations this evening that I think the board and community will most certainly enjoy. The first one is our friends at SHP. We have Gregor Lewis and Jenny Gallo. Both of those folks are boots on the ground people here at King's, have been working not only on the exterior design of our high school, but also Jenny's been working extensively with our staff around the interior. So we're going to turn this over to Gregor Lewis and Jenny Gallo for an update on where we are on the high school design process.
Thank you, Greg. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here to give you an update about where we are in our design process. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the site and what we're doing on the entire property and looking at the exterior of the building. And I'm going to hand it over to Jenny, our interior design director, to talk about the program and plans, updates, and take a sneak peek at what we're starting to do on the interior design of the project. So if you remember, for the overall site, we've been looking at the campus as a whole. Our focus is on the area where the King's High School is and the new property to the south that we acquired last year, was it 2 years ago, from Kings Island, where we're going to be expanding the athletic facilities. You can see that our site plan here has been translated by our engineers, starting to map out all of the requirements for the fields, the parking, vehicular circulation, sidewalks. We're starting to get into some granular details specifically around the building, the new King's High School that you see here located on top of the existing baseball and softball field. From this perspective, you can see the new baseball, softball, and then the soccer stadium that will be on the south property on the left-hand side. It's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see some additional parking that's going to be just to the south, again, on the left. And then we're also swinging the bus parking around on the south, adjacent to Columbia Road. So things are in progress with our civil engineers. We're looking at the site as a whole, including kind of bus circulation in that existing bus pickup and drop-off area that will serve both the existing high school, which will become the new middle school, and the new high school that's on top of the baseball and softball fields. When we zoom in, you can see how we're starting to map out the location and accessibility for the buses on the reconfigured bus parking. We're maintaining the existing bus facility so that we don't have to rebuild or relocate that, but we're just swinging the parking area around and any additional services that will be there to support the buses that will swing around to the south along Columbia Road. And then we'll provide some parking for the bus staff, the bus driver staff. As we zoom in where the new high school is being proposed, you can start to see some of the circulation opportunities that we have with the bus pickup and drop off reconfiguration to accommodate all of the buses that will serve the middle and the high school students. By being able to drop off in between those two, we can have coordinated schedules so those students can ride the same buses. They can get dropped off at the same time, and our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will go to the north, to the new middle school, and our 9th through 12th graders will go to the south, to the new high school. You can see this is a sketch that we're starting to work with our landscape architect. All of the red lines, they look like CAD drawings, like something that our landscape architect has produced in the computer, but those are in fact hand sketches. He very impressively uses kind of old school templates and things to draw the circles for the trees and the shrubs, all the arcs and everything. So it's actually really beautiful to look at. But this is a sketch of the landscape that the landscape architect in our office has been doing, Michael. He's looking at the three entrances. On this view, north is up. So the north entrance on the very top is the bus entrance where the students coming from the bus will come into the new high school. The entrance on the west, on the left, will be our main entrance that will go for visitors, people coming to the school during school hours. They'll be able to go through a secure checkpoint to get into the school through the main administration offices that are right there located next to. There will be some special parking just for visitors there in the front. That's the view that's the facade of the building that faces west, faces Columbia Road. So that's the view that you'll see here when we look at the exterior. That will be kind of the main view of the building when people are coming to and from the high school, driving down Columbia Road. And then probably the largest entrance will be the entrance to the south that you see on the bottom of the drawing there. That will be both our event entry, where visitors coming to the theater that's on the southwest, the lower left of the drawing, and the arena that's on the lower right of the drawing. The people will come in through the event entry for those performances or competitions after hours. That will also be the student pickup and drop off entrance. So parents dropping their students off, and as well as the students that are driving themselves to school and parking in that new lot that we're showing to the south of the building. All of those students will come in through that event entry. So when we start to zoom in and look at that entrance, you'll see that it has more doors, larger openings for those students to accommodate the larger flow of traffic, pedestrian traffic, students coming in and out through that entrance. And then from there, they'll have access to the cafeteria and those resources at the beginning of the day if they need breakfast before they start their day. And then they'll be able to go circulate through numerous stairs that go up into the classroom levels on the upper two levels. This starts to kind of zoom in a little bit on the details of that main entrance pickup and drop off. You can see Columbia to the bottom of this image. You can see the roundabout. So there's kind of a little bit of a mini pickup and drop off. But the intent is that the main pickup and drop off will be to that south entrance. We do have some zoning requirements that we have to meet in terms of the types and numbers of plantings that are along that street, particularly within the buffer. So what Michael is starting to show is different types of shrubs and trees, some evergreen, some deciduous, that will allow for those that landscape experience to both be present throughout the year as well as change throughout the seasons that we experience here. Two of the really nice outdoor features that we have are these outdoor courtyards. On the left is the first floor courtyard. This is adjacent to numerous types of spaces. We've got the dining that's central to the building that will connect to this lower courtyard on the left. So we're showing some outdoor dining tables. This also is adjacent to the administration offices, which are on the lower left portion of that left image. So staff, faculty will have access to this coming from the administrative offices. On the upper left is our arts rooms, adjacent also to our digital media art rooms as well. So the art students will have this for kind of outdoor arts, crafts, displays, things like that. We're actively talking with the art staff about how we can create an outdoor space that can enhance the art opportunities for the students, as well as some adjacency to the community room that's right there on the first floor. So this outdoor space, in addition to providing some daylight into some of those spaces, provides really nice, secure outdoor space for students. And that was something that we've heard from students, from faculty, from administrators throughout this entire process. And then on the right, it's kind of a blank canvas right now, but that's our second floor courtyard. That's the courtyard that will be accessible to all of the classrooms, as well as the innovation hub that we're actively working on developing. Jenny will talk about that in a little bit more detail later. But that second floor courtyard will provide access for the students specifically the science students and the Innovation Hub students on that second floor, so they don't have to go down to the first floor to get out. So we've got outdoor access on the first and the second floor, which is a really unique opportunity that we've designed into this plan. Here's the kind of main view from Columbia. So you can see the building is set back from the street. And then what you're looking at is that main west elevation. So this is sometime in the afternoon, probably after the students have been picked up and things are starting to clear out a little bit. You can see the different materiality that we're looking at, as well as some of the window patterns and the brick detailing. The vast majority of the building will be brick. That's part of the OFCC requirements that we're working with. But there's also some additional metal panels, some spandrel panels that we're working in, try to kind of break up the design a little bit because it is a 3-story, a large building. So we do incorporate some very specific types of material changes and details to help kind of break up the mass of the building. But the tan brick is there intentionally to try to relate to the rest of the campus. The existing junior high and the existing high school both have tan brick and block on their exterior materiality. So that is there to kind of relate back to it. But then the darker gray material there, which right now is a darker gray brick, is intentionally meant to be a little bit more of a contemporary material expression that helps this relate to kind of the time in which we're building now. This is a view also on the west facade of that main entrance. You can start to see kind of how the cars could queue up in front. The main tan brick shows the second and third floor, which is our main academic levels. All of our primary classrooms and science lab spaces are on the second and third floor. And there's great connectivity between those two levels for the students. And then this main entrance is right at the first floor where visitors will come in during the day. We'll have a secure vestibule back there underneath that canopy on the right. And then to the right, you can see some of our music spaces that are directly adjacent to the theater space, so that those students that are doing the performances, whether it's an orchestra or band performance, vocal performance, theater performance, will have all access to all of those music spaces for pre-function preparation, things like that. This view is from the southwest, so you can start to see an overview of the entire building with the music wing in the front. That kind of dark gray and the light gray brick in the front is our music wing. That's got intentionally higher ceilings, so it's a higher roof. And then the scalloped shape that you see behind that is the theater. That's directly behind it. That theater space is kind of shaped like that to emulate a crown or something royal. We've had several conversations about that, and that's something that we're still going to be actively looking at as we go through the design development process. But that's where we start to introduce different materials like a metal panel that can help lighten it up. It will help reduce and maintain control over the costs, as well as lighten the construction. But the main volume there where you see that tallest peak is where our fly space is over the top of the stage. So we have 50-foot requirements that we have to maintain in order to provide that fly space over the stage. And then the rest of it is just kind of shaped to house the main theater house, as well as a mechanical mezzanine that's behind the stage that will provide mechanical service to all of the music rooms as well as the theater in that area. And then this is our kind of the beginning look at our event entry. So this is the space where students pick up and drop off will happen. Students that are coming from the parking, which is kind of located where we're all sitting. Those students will park and then go in through this entrance. We've got a ramp on the right side for accessibility, as well as a few stairs. And the plaza kind of steps up to that upper level. On the left, that scalloped roof is the same one we were talking about that's above the theater. And then on the right, just out of our view, is the main arena space. The intent is for those to kind of relate to each other. But what we're looking at is a couple different places where we can start to think about different signage, and then what that student experience is going to be like when they come to, and student and visitor experience when they come to this event entry, because with this will be the primary entrance that most people will experience when they're coming to the new high school. Of course.
On this one right here.
Yep.
If the parking lot is where we're sitting.
Mhm.
And this is the main space. How is it safe for kids to cross the street from the parking lot into the main entrance?
So if we look at the site plan, I don't know if you can go back to one of the early site
I can
plans.
do this later if you'd rather.
No, we can talk about it now. Because we have very much thought about how that security is going to work. So yeah, right here. So on the upper left of this image is the Great Wolf Lodge Drive. So directly across from that is our entrance for the student parking. So students will come in through that entrance, regardless of whether they're coming from west on Great Wolf Lodge or north. They'll come past there and enter the site from that southmost point, and then go down through the parking to get to that main bulk of the parking that's on the south or in the bottom of this picture. That is east of where we have our pickup and drop off loop. And so there will be either some sort of gate or cones that will be set up. There'll be an elevated crosswalk that will function like a speed bump, except the intention is that we don't have any cars crossing over that at the beginning and the end of the day for safety reasons. So the students that are coming from the pickup and drop off will enter just across from the neighborhood street that's on the upper right. They will come in kind of pass between the bus garage and where the music rooms are on that upper left portion of the building, and then loop around and drop off for that main event entry there. And then all the students for the parking will enter from, yes, I got my Vanna White here.
This is your student pickup. Car entrance comes here, back in all through here.
Now that makes
So
sense.
the parent pickup and drop off is separated from student parking.
And if you point to where that kind of that crosswalk would be, right off adjacent to the event entry, yes. So there'll be a crosswalk, an elevated crosswalk there where students can cross safely. We can have either cones or some sort of gate that can come down during those pickup and drop off times.
So this can open up for more flowing during an event. But yeah, so this is just enough, and then this can become parking, staff parking, or whatever. But that's the idea.
And then so for events, we have 2 ways in and 2 ways out to help disperse that traffic. And then the people who are in the know, people who are in the room and probably paying attention online can use the back entrance that goes around the junior high. But shh, don't tell anybody else, okay? That's just for these people. So I'm going to hand it over to Jenny. She's going to talk about some of the plan updates and the interior design.
Well, thank you. So the interior design I'll start with the floor plan, kind of at a macro level, should look fairly familiar, and it hasn't changed a lot. It's the micro level that we're really starting to get into, that you're going to start to see some changes, and that will really allow us to take the interior design to the next level. The floor plan is obviously reacting to the exterior design as Gregor and the architectural team are working on the form of the exterior. There are some walls that have changed in shape, in approximate location. We're starting to add windows, doors, and all of those things impact the use of space. We want to make sure that we are obviously responding, though, to the end user, which are going to be your kids and your staff and your community. So we have really started to we've had, I think I counted 21 focus group meetings since September 1st. Some of those meetings are to talk about one space and one space only. Some of them we've talked about 3 or 4 spaces. So we have probably engaged with 50, 60, 70 stakeholders in the past month and a half. A lot of them are around the tables here. Some are actually in the audience, including a couple of students, which is awesome that they are here, and we'll get to see how their input is starting to impact the plan. But there are so many voices starting to impact the interior of the space. And again, some of this is really at a micro level. So when you look at this floor plan, you're not seeing the input to the level that maybe you're going to as things move forward. So I brought some imagery that's going to start to hint at some of the changes and ideas that are coming to the table. Did just want to show the overall floor plans and chat a little bit about some of the changes that have happened. Again, that level of detail, things like on the lower level, we have started to add lockers into the locker room. So making sure that the locker spaces are sized to your teams. Again, that level of detail is what we are starting to get into. It's not just a locker room on a paper. It's a locker room with 15-inch by 15-inch by 60-inch lockers that can work great for lacrosse and for baseball and for this and for that. So we're getting to that level of detail. On the upper levels, again, the perimeter should look pretty familiar with classrooms and science labs and the inner extended learning areas that I know we talked about last time. Here it's the innovation hub that is really starting to drive some changes on the second and third floor. There's actually an innovation hub team that is looking at innovation space, media center space across the district and what that wants to look like today and into the future. We are also talking Innovation Hub with general ed teachers and with students. So all of those voices are starting to talk into this space that, again, we're starting to have some enclosed spaces that might contain different technology. It's looking like there's going to be a makerspace component to this. There's going to be a multimedia recording component to it. The esports team would be housed in this area. And then obviously books and just the importance of literacy is still going to be celebrated in this area. So this will be a moving target. We have some initial concepts to share tonight, but this is going to be an ongoing dialogue with a lot of different stakeholders to really get the heart of the building designed to meet their needs. Again, third floor looks fairly familiar to what you saw last time. The really exciting thing is this is what it really looks like. So those 21 meetings have led to us having an understanding of the storage types in each rooms. If there is a need for sinks, for gas, the types of furniture, how many students we're needing to fit in there, the technology wants and wishes. In those meetings, when we've talked with students and staff, we really left them open-ended. They were listening sessions to us. We asked, what do you need to be successful in your space? And if you had a wish list, what would be on it? We wanted to think beyond just what works today, think a little bit about what's to come. So we really just opened the dialogue with the staff and students with those questions. And, you know, we would feed questions as needed, but for the most part, we didn't need to. Folks were willing and eager to express their opinions and to contribute. And again, just in preparing for this presentation, I let our computer count. And there are over 66,500 furniture pieces in this model right now. There are over 1,200 student chairs alone. So again, the level of detail and just the reality of the size of this building, I think is starting to come into focus. When we start to look at this in 3D, from an interior perspective, we're still in the early stages. If you remember a couple months ago when Gregor brought exterior views to you, they were in black and white. They didn't express materiality. They were more about space and form and, you know, kind of the quality of space. That's where we are with the interior. But here you're starting to see things like storage and furniture. You're starting to see the door type selected and openness between the classroom and the extended learning area. We had great conversations with teachers and students both about the extended learning areas and what would make you leave your classroom space and go use that ELA. And what would make it so that you could do that. You know, we talked with teachers about if you are needing to manage, you know, 25 to 30 kids, what's going to make you feel safe allowing them to go out there and work on small projects? Well, having this amount of openness between the spaces is something that came out of that. That also led to great conversations about safety and security. And we had, again, those both with students and staff. So I think we're starting to have a dialogue that is about design, it's about teaching and educating, but it's also about practical realities that we have to deal with too. So all of these different parts and pieces are playing into the early design concepts that we will continue to refine. The extended learning area that these classrooms are looking out on, we're starting to, again, show furniture. I think this is one thing that did excite the students is seeing the opportunities to have different furniture types, different heights of furniture, different areas that they could meet with their peers, maybe even before or after school, again, spread out and work on projects, and just the quality of space. On the next image, you can see the glass from the courtyard beyond. I know we have talked a lot about the importance of daylighting and that connection to the outside. And I know that students and staff both have responded really well to the fact that, yes, within their classroom, they will have great daylighting, but as they circulate through the building and are walking through what would normally be an enclosed hallway space, they're still going to have views to the outside and that great connection to nature. Downstairs on the first floor, we've been really exploring and having some there. This is what you are seeing in the lower right corner in the purple area. So this is our student dining room adjacent to the courtyard. If we look at the 3D, you can start to see, how this can be a great gathering space. So again, this is our dining room that we're standing in. So you can start to imagine the types of furniture that might be around you. The students brought up some ideas about wanting different height furniture, soft seating, booths, maybe some Starbucks or Chipotle-like, high counters along the glass where you could sit independently and work on something during lunch or after school. This learning sphere will have some technology associated with it. So the ability to have an entire class or multiple classes gather here for informal presentations, for student presentations, bringing in outside experts. Again, just the opportunities you'll have with different spaces that can support education outside of the four walls of a single classroom is really great in this building. Here's just another view. Upstairs, we mentioned the Innovation Hub. So this, I will say, is a moving target. Our Innovation Hub team has met 2 times now. They have gone on several building tours, and we're going to be meeting again. I think at our last meeting, we really kind of narrowed down the program. Again, I talked about things like having a makerspace and the production lab and some large group meeting spaces. When we talk about this, we've kind of coined it as Barnes & Noble meets a makerspace meets a co-working environment. If you've ever been to Cohatch, we had our first meeting there. And I think that the vibe and the feel and the amenities that that space offers professionals is what they want to offer your kids. So again, it's spaces that are going to be different than the 4 walls of a normal classroom that will really enhance your students' opportunity in the building. When we look at that in 3D, it's an exciting space. I think this truly is the heart of the academic community, the heart of the building, and letting it be something that all students interact with, all students see, is really important and exciting. So you can see that we have 2 main circulation stairs that are intersecting this space. Again, that's a moving target. I think the stair shape is likely going to change in the next few weeks as we continue to refine this. But the degree that it will be connected to the heart of the building and that students will interact with it isn't going to change. You can see the connection to the second floor courtyard that Gregor pointed out on the right-hand side. So again, great daylighting and outdoor opportunities for students to work both inside and outside. Just another view. And then this is upstairs if you were standing outside of an academic community looking down. So again, just the connection between the 2 floors, I think is going to be a really energizing space. I'll just actually jump back one. I'll just end with a couple more highlights from some of the conversations we've had, because I think they're going to inform the next round of images that you're going to see. And one is actually from our students. As you look at the 3D views here, one thing that really started to play out in some of these conversations was the reality of how big this building is. And I think that we heard from the students the desire to possibly use color as a wayfinding device. So, whether there are multiple colors and each wing is a different color, or it's just signage or furniture colors, something that can start to let you understand where you are in the building. I think that's also something that we can think about from a safety and security perspective of making sure you know where you are when you're in a building that does have multiple spaces that repeat. The students also brought up the idea of in the academic spaces wanting colors that were a little bit more calming. So they were talking about maybe the true school colors are in the public spaces, and then it's a slightly different color palette in the academic areas. Those are all decisions and discussions that we will have, but I think that their comments will start to inform the next round of images that you will see that will start to have some color. So much information is going to continue to be layered onto this, and that plays into our timeline. So we've been focusing so much on nuts and bolts and making sure we have quantities in basic materials accounted for. And that's because right now, we have turned over what's called our schematic design set to HGC. So this is the first time that they are going to put together a budget for the project. They are actively working on that now, and we will be working on an estimate in parallel with them. That will get reconciled, and hopefully we get the green light to keep moving in November. That would let us start design development, which is the next phase in December. DD is really when we get in the weeds on the interior design. So you would start to see concepts like Gregor has for the outside, for the inside with color and materials and design features. We also just wanted to comment that the Columbia Intermediate project is moving forward at this time also. Yes, we got Shelley in the room. We are actively working on our construction documents, which is the final set of drawings. Those will be turned over to HDC in December for permitting. So a lot of exciting things are happening on Columbia to keep that project moving as well.
So we're still focused for maybe January sometime, shovel in the ground.
I believe so. HDC is pushing for that.
Any other questions for Gregor or Jenny? And everything's on budget, right?
We will know soon. So that's what that's what HGC is working on. So we have been having numerous conversations with them about the budget, and as materials are selected, they're informing those decisions. But this is the first time they're putting a complete estimate together. So we'll have that for you in the coming months.
Good. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Gregor.
Came a long way.
Yes. Long way. It looks great.
So also before we go, I will just, compliment Gregor and Jenny both for, their willingness to sit and talk with our staff extensively, and our students. And so some of the best feedback we've received has really just been engaging our students around what experience they want school. And then kind of marrying that with where our staff is as well. So they do an excellent job of listening, engaging, and putting in the time for that. And I think you'll see that design continue to be influenced. So we appreciate you being here this evening, and also your work, involving so many people in the process. So
Thank you both.
moving forward, any other comments or? Okay. Sorry that's not the highlight of our board meeting. Next is the highlight of our board meeting.
Yes.
We are kicking off the Raise presentations this year. And so we have Taylor and Gabby here, veterans to this, and we cannot wait to hear all the great things this year about the Kings High School and everything that's happening. So ladies, turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. We're so excited to be back. I'm Gabby Cabrera and this is Taylor Kleiss. And we'll be here every month just to share some of the great things that have been happening at the high school. Before we get started, we thought we would introduce ourselves a little more. So again, I'm Gabby Cabrera. I'm a junior at the high school. I'm a returning Raise rep. I've had so much fun last year, so I'm really excited to be back. I'm involved in a few things around the school, obviously Raise team, and then another one that I love is student council. I'm the junior class vice president, so I love to plan and organize and just make the school a better place.
And then I'm Taylor Kleiss. I'm super excited to be a permanent Raise rep this year. I love to be involved at KHS. Of course, I love being involved in Raise, Spanish Club, Spanish National Honor Society, National Honor Society, Community Service Club, Student Council, softball, Sources of Strength, and especially Student Council because I am the junior class president along with Gabby as my vice president.
Then to begin, we have our athletics. And first up, football has had a great season so far with a 6-2 record. Their most recent game was this past Friday with a 45-0 win over Milford. So very exciting. And then this Friday is actually their senior night at the castle. So come out and see them. And then our volleyball team are just trying to live up to last year's success. And I think they're doing a great job with a 17-3 record. They're also second in the ECC. And we have 2 ECC players of the week on that team, freshman Kelly Kaiser and Mia Sinella. So we're very proud of them and their entire team.
continuing with our fall sports, cross country is having an awesome season, especially Lucy Marquitos and Joe Thomas. They both placed first in their home meet, which both of the men's and women's team won. For women's golf, the team qualified for districts this year, and they had a great season across the board. They had a slow start to their season, but they battled all the way to second in the ECC. And men's golf also finished their season a few weeks ago with a winning record. We're so proud of all of our fall sports.
And then we also have our women's tennis teams who closed off their season a few weeks ago, ending 4-4. I know they're all already excited for their next season. A lot of them are already training. And then our women's soccer team recently volunteered at a local animal shelter. Some of them packaged cat food, and then others made dog treats, which I think is super cool. They're actually at Ursuline Academy right now for their last season game, and then they'll start their postseason tournament next week. And then our men's soccer team have had a great season and are right now third in the ECC. So yeah, again, we're just so proud of our fall sports teams.
So transitioning into our academics, we recently awarded our National Merit Scholars. So congratulations to Nolan Clark, Mallory Green, and Justin Gardner for being recognized. These students achieved scores in the top 2 to 3% of all PSAT takers. We're so proud of them, and they represent KHS so well.
And then our German club, at their first meeting of the year, they elected their president, vice president, and secretary. And then they also had the chance to try German chocolate, which they all said was very delicious. And then they made what I think is pronounced as Zuckertüten, which are little cone packages that you put like candy and toys in that parents give to their kids on the first day of school. So.
Then Friday, October 4th, Gabby and I had the honor of attending the High Ames Leadership Conference alongside a few of our peers that were selected by our teachers. We joined 100 other students from Southwest Ohio, and we got to hear from some of the community's top leaders. We got to pick their brain and take away some awesome leadership skills that we get to bring into our high school.
Next up, our Kings High School class of 2024 made the AP Honor Roll and then reached silver criteria for 3 categories. The first one gives the percent of students that took an AP class during high school. The second one gives a percentage of students that took and passed an AP exam in high school. And then finally, the last category gives you a percentage of kids who took at least 5 AP exams during high school, one of which had to be during their freshman or sophomore year. So 9% is very impressive for that.
Next up are arts. Rehearsal is underway for this year's fall play, Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. The cast members have been working diligently to perfect their Shakespearean acting in order to bring this show to life, which is not an easy task. You can come out and see it November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. You do not want to miss it.
Next up, our digital media arts students had the pleasure of visiting RHP Productions, which is a food photography company. During the tour, they learned about like technical aspects of the photography, like styling, lighting, composition. RHP Productions is a very well-known brand around like the food photography industry. They work with companies like Kroger and Blue Bunny, so it's a very cool opportunity for students that want to go into something like that.
All right, and then concerned about the graffiti on Kyle's wall, Bridget Reese made a plan to restore it alongside some of her other National Art Honor Society members, and it looks absolutely amazing. We asked Mrs. Cook what she thought of it, and she said, "I'm very proud of these students who are preserving Kyle's memory, fostering a spirit of kindness and teamwork, and creating a warm, welcoming invitation for the students and visitors to the high school's campus." It's all finished up, so when you drive by it, it is awesome, and we are just so impressed by our peers.
Next up, our National Art Honor Society hosted their Cookies and Canvas night, which is just a free night for Kings families to come in and paint and have cookies alongside some of the Art Honor Society students. I've heard great things about these nights, and they're always a hit. They're also hosting a Paint Your Own Pottery night on November 7th. If you're interested, they would love to have you.
Then one of our favorite things are homecoming festivities. So each year during the week leading up to homecoming, Student Council decides on a couple themes. So this year we had Monday was Pajama Day, Tuesday was tiara / dress as your favorite Disney character. Wednesday was a fan favorite, rhyme without reason, also known as Twin Day. So we have PJ and DJ and construction worker and Hawaiian surfer. Thursday, we had babies versus senior citizens. And on Friday, each class wore their class colors in anticipation for the pep rally.
And our pep rally was, as usual, so much fun. A big thanks to Mr. Wellman, who emceed and planned the entire thing. Also to our cheer team, dance team, and band who performed. It was the typical stuff like tug of war. We did Battle of the Bands this year, which I thought was really cool. Performances from both the cheer and dance team. And then everyone's favorite was when the cheer and dance team all chose a teacher to dance with. And that's just so fun to watch.
Our homecoming dance theme was put on by student council, and the theme was Tangled. It was hosted at the Savannah Center. The building was decorated beautifully with lanterns and flowers, and it was a hit for all grades. And then at our homecoming football game, of course, the Knights pulled out another win against Little Miami, which always feels good. And then Toriano Johnson and Lily Medina were crowned this year's king and queen. So congrats to them. Well, thank you so much for letting us tell you about all the awesome things that are happening at KHS. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, girls.
The two,
Set the bar really high for yourself.
yes, absolutely.
Next month.
You both have so much going on. It makes me tired just you reading it all. Yeah.
Yep. I also just want to thank Mrs. Eldridge, Mrs. Six, and Ms. Kaufman for, their continued leadership with this group, and they're regular attendees also. So we're glad they're back.
Yes, absolutely.
We will hear from them, I'm sure, at some point this year, because we're going to get them on the microphone. Yeah, no. Okay. Didn't think so. But we appreciate your leadership and the work you're doing with our kids too. It's important in giving these guys this awesome opportunity to demonstrate communication and leadership skills as we transition to the next one around how we are incorporating a lot of our strategic initiatives in our district, whether it's our culture of growth and innovation, Power 5 future skills, or personalized learning efforts. It's on display there. And this evening, we are fortunate to have Ms. Bogart and her incredible staff at CIS that are here to share some awesome things that are happening at Columbia and how we are incorporating in moving forward a lot of our strategic initiatives. So I will turn it over to Mrs. Bogart.
I hate microphones. I was a cheerleader. I just talk loud naturally. But so thank you for having us tonight. I'm Shelley Bogart, the very proud principal of Columbia Intermediate. And tonight we want to share with you what we're doing in our efforts to support the strategic initiatives. Up on the screen, this is kind of the approach that we're taking to each of the strategic initiatives at Columbia. So the King's Culture Blueprint, we kind of live in the mindset of sustain and maintain. We've really been focused on that over the course of the last 3 years, and now it's just holding ourselves accountable, reflecting on those 9 behaviors, and how are we as a building and as teachers and students feeling and supporting that effort. The Power 5, this year our focus is on intentional integration. So we laugh and say last year we memorized the 5 words. This year we're doing something with the 5 words. And we're really focusing on what does that look like, what does that sound like, and what does that feel like in the classroom, on the playground, at camps. How are we bringing that to life for our students? And then lastly, this is the one that we just spent a whole day with it yesterday. It was so fun and so exciting. So personalized learning. Last year, I felt like the group that started was our launch team. We drank from a fire hose 4 times, and we just kept drinking from the fire hose and learned and learned and learned and learned. And then we went back and tried. So our mantra this year is we learned, we tried, we're learning more, and we're trying more. So we left yesterday with some more ideas and some excitement about what that could look like as we continue to grow and develop that at Columbia. So tonight we have 2 groups joining us. First, we have teachers from Team Unite. They will be talking to you about how they are working on that intentional integration of the Power 5. And then we have Chris Hen and Andrea Cost, here representing fifth grade to talk to you about Project Trust. And those of you that have been around for a while, Project Trust started out a really long time ago with Mr. Spinner and I, and where it's grown to and what it's become when we've really thought mindfully about the culture blueprint, the Power Five, and personalized learning. So I'm going to turn it over to Abby, Caleb, Sally, and Kyla to talk to you about what they are doing on Team Unite for intentional integration of Power Five.
Come on, team. For time's sake, I am going to speak about our Power Five program. However, it's been a group effort. So we have all worked diligently on this and we're all super excited about it. So we're Team Unite. And we have asked the community if they would engage with us to come and speak to our students. And it's not about what they are or what the students are going to become. We're really trying to hone in on if they are an impact player of the Power Five skills being the five skills that they're demonstrating in their jobs. So the beginning, like Shelly said, we're trying to do some more intentional integration into our building. And Shelly really talks about it a lot at our meetings and just kind of asks us, do we have any ideas with things that how we can push it forward more? And then Caleb is our team captain and he brings it up in the beginning of our meeting. So it's kind of a constant conversation in our building. This year, we had a schedule that allowed us some time on Mondays where we have the entire team so that all the students are a part of this. And we were just kind of brainstorming before the year started and an idea was born and we just really ran with it. We said, what if we have other people share their story instead of us? The students listen to us all day. So I think that they enjoy hearing from somebody else. So what is it? At the heart of this initiative, we really want it to be about the community and marrying that together with the Power Five skills because we need our community to support those skills and to really talk to the students about how important that those skills are and they are things developed within us. Every morning we host a guest speaker. And if you click on the guest speaker template, you can just see what the guest speakers are given. So once somebody volunteers to be a part of this, I send this template to them. And I just say this is to be used as a guide. It's by no means, you don't have to stay within these parameters. But the main thing is please make this about the Power Five skills. And so this is just a guide to kind of help them put their presentation together. So I think sometimes it can feel overwhelming for people of just, what do I talk to 100 sixth graders about? So, and then we follow up with a reflection form the day of. So this is right when the students finish listening to the speaker. When they go into Mr. DeVore's room, they will complete a reflection and it's just having them stop and think about the Power Five skills, what they saw, what they listened to in the speaker, how they, connected the Power Five skills to their career. And then these are some pictures of our speakers that we've had, and we take one resonating quote from each speaker that just really, that you want to sit with and kind of think about and talk with the students about. And we've talked a lot about some great conversations that we've had with students. If they've run into a struggle during the day, we will kind of reference back to a Power Five speaker and say, think about some of the challenges that they discussed with us in their career fields and, the advice that they gave us. And so it's been a really good connection tool as well. And here's our vision for it. We are hoping to put together a culminating project at the end of the year where the students will choose a speaker that they talk about, but they're really going to be focusing on the Power Five skill that speaker talked about. And hopefully that they get an opportunity to dive more into that and how it applies to them and their present moment as well as their future. And the main thing is the students are not expected to know what they want to be when they grow up. We don't want that to become the focus here. We really want them to see that there are commonalities amongst successful people, and those are the Power Five skills. And that is it. Yes.
One of my favorite things when Abby came to me from her team's idea, and then they had their first speaker, was they had a person from the fire department share. And the quote was, "The problem is always the same, but how I solve it might look different. Because I'm always dealing with a fire, but how I handle it might be different. Is it a kitchen fire? Is it an outdoor fire? Is it an indoor fire?" Just the importance of kids understanding that might be the same problem, but we have to solve it differently. So I thought that was really powerful for the kids to learn. Okay, next we have Andrea and Chris to talk about Project Trust. Get the microphone. Nobody ever wants.
All right. Well, we're going to do a little bit of reading here too. We spent some time crafting up some words for this. So forgive us if we're looking down some, but good evening. And thank you for the opportunity to come in tonight and share about Project Trust. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Project Trust is CIS's 5th grade off-campus experience that is designed to foster cohesion among our students that are joining together from the 3 different elementary schools into their graduating class for the first time. This one-day experience focuses, actually, Dawn, could you go to the next slide? Sorry. This one-day experience focuses on building positive peer relationships, communication, and meeting new people. Students learn to appreciate both their similarities and difference, helping break down barriers and promote a stronger sense of community. The activities also provide practice for conflict resolution and team building experience, essential skills as they enter the larger school setting. Next slide.
This initiative has been evolving for over a decade. It started in 2008, as Shelley said, with just a selected few students. And then by 2018, it just had so much positive feedback from the students and by the staff as well that they developed it into all of the 5th graders go, every team goes. Now in 2024, we've reconfigured the program to better meet the needs of today's students. We had a lot of conversations about how today's students are different from students a decade ago through surveys and brainstorming sessions with the staff. We identified areas for improvement and updated the program accordingly. And then we piloted these changes this fall. So the changes just included a lot of more outdoor time, more positive interactions with the students and the staff.
The goals of Project Trust align closely with the district's Power 5 initiative and the King's Culture Blueprint as shown in this table. Project Trust goals like team building, leadership development, and conflict resolution directly support key district priorities such as collaboration, communication, and career readiness. By integrating these values into the experience, students aren't just having fun, they're gaining skills that will benefit them both academically and socially in the future.
The activities we offer, like team building exercises, leadership challenges, and opportunities for peer connection, feed directly into the district's focus on skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and effective communication. The power of this program lies in how it builds foundational skills that our students use, and they'll be using well beyond just this Camp Current experience that they have.
And the results of our new format were a huge success. With smaller groups, students were more engaged and built stronger connections. The new structure increased our outdoor time at Camp Kern, which allowed for more varied activities, and students took advantage of every opportunity to connect with both their peers and staff. Overall, this reconfiguration is giving our students a richer, more meaningful experience.
And finally, we just wanted to illustrate some of the feedback from the students. These are direct quotes from the students and them mentioning things that they kind of liked from this experience. It's clear that this experience isn't just another school day. I even had one student say when we went around saying our favorite thing about school, one student said, "It's this right here. Today is my favorite day." So, and then to commemorate their experience and remind us of our shared vision, each CIS student receives a Be Nice shirt reflecting the Project Trust and the CIS slogan, "Be Nice Out There."
Project Trust is much more than just a field trip. It is an intentional effort to build students' social emotional skills, support their merging into a graduating class, and align with the district's Power 5 future skills strategy. We're excited about what's to come and look forward to seeing even more growth as we continue to improve this program in the future.
Thank you.
Thank
Be nice out there. Thank you. Thank you. I gotta also, 2 of my sons attended Project Trust as students at Columbia, and both still remember their Project Trust experience, and we're pretty able to recall quite a few things we did. So it's kind of cool. Be on the other side of something. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thank you for letting us share.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight.
You
Appreciate
really
it.
brought to life everything that Mr. Sears has shared that's been going on. So thank you very much for
Yeah, absolutely.
being here and sharing.
Right. Shelley, I need a t-shirt. Gotcha.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you
Appreciate
all for coming.
appreciate your work.
So much. Next on this evening's agenda is the public participation. Looks like we don't have anyone signed up this evening for public participation, so we'll move on. Next on the agenda would be, the consent agenda would be the approval items for the treasurer. Looks like we have 3 items this evening. 4 items, excuse me. 5.
You got it. You got it.
Did we have any questions for Mr. Morrow this evening regarding items 1 through 5? No? Well, with that, may I have a motion to approve the items for the treasurer?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. Next on the agenda, seeing we have no items for Mr. Sears, we will move on to next on the consent agenda, the items for the assistant superintendent concerning HR and business. I do believe we have 2 items there, 3 items. I'm sorry. Did we have any questions for Mr. Spinner or Mr. Lucky? With that, may I have a motion to approve the,
I'll make that motion.
I will second the motion. Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Groff.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the approval items for the assistant superintendent regarding the educational programs. We have 1 item there. Do we have any questions for Mrs. Martin or Mr. Freeman? No? All right, with that, may I have a motion to approve these items or this item?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. And next on the agenda are the items presented by the board. Do we have anything this evening to share? I had one. I was cordially invited to a meeting Friday that was set up by Mr. Morrow, Mr. Sears, and Mr. Lucky, where they brought in a lot of different individuals from all of the municipalities involved in our projects here for Kings, particularly for the high school. Got them all together here in the conference room to kind of go over a lot of the information we saw from Gregor and Jenny this evening, and just talk through some of the logistics, with respect to water and sewer and property lines and who's responsible for what. I think Greg, Mr. Sears referred to it as, we're going to hear a lot about how the sausage gets made today. And I will attest, there were times in the meeting where I had no idea what they were talking about. A lot of civil engineering acronyms that I had no clue as to what they meant, but it was a very productive meeting. Would you all agree? I thought getting them all together was very fruitful. There were some concerns that we weren't providing pizza and lunch at the time. Sound like the gentleman from Deerfield, that was on him. He didn't get it done, but next time, I think that'll be corrected. So I just letting you all know that it was a very good meeting to just have them all here together. I think the plan going forward is to have smaller breakout meetings with the necessary folks. But yeah, it was very enlightening to hear how far the water mains go. It's like, oh yeah, this water main that runs under here also feeds the golf course and the tennis center, and this sewer line goes here. And I had no idea. So it's very interesting to listen to. But yeah, I was out of my depth very quickly. Just wanted to share that. That's just another item that, yeah, in behind the scenes. I know Jenny mentioned a lot of the meetings we're having here with students and staff, and it's just one more item that administration's working on diligently. So yeah, it was a very good meeting. With that, next on the agenda is the Student Achievement Liaison update. Mrs. Phillips.
We're thrilled to have ABC Pediatrics Westchester as a returning intern partnership. Working with physical and occupational therapists allows our students to see multiple aspects of working with young patients. King School District, the high school, and Carrie Snyder, thank you for your continued support. So she posted that recently. JF Burns posted about the fun run. So each year, the three K4 elementary schools have an exciting activity called the Fun Run. And this year was no exception. They all met their goals, and great job to the students, staff, and the numerous volunteers it takes to put on the activities. And you can see the activities are not only outside, but a lot of the learning during the week of the Fun Run are all focused around being healthy, not only body, but also your mind. And congratulations to King's High School physics teacher, Mrs. Contrada, for being named the local 12 Educator of the Week. News anchor Adam Clemens surprised Mrs. Contrada last week in her classroom, and we couldn't be more proud of the work she does for our district at each and every day, every year. And third grade at SLE is the place to be for their monthly mystery reader visits. This month, Mr. Sears surprised the kids with a wonderful book about superheroes, and even they can have a bad day. And the kids surprised him with some great questions about his career. Do tell, Mr. Sears.
They really just were begging for snow days is really all they were doing. We spent a lot of time on the logistics on how that happens. And I learned all about all the tricks that they do in order to the superstitions, like flushing ice and a white crayon in the freezer I learned. So yes, awesome kids. I had so much fun.
Heard that one.
Okay, did you miss the popular Pink Ribbon Girls pumpkin sale on Saturday, October the 10th? It was at the Monkey Bar. 1,000 uniquely painted pumpkins of all sizes, some painted by our talented King's Junior High and high school students. And next slide. The pumpkins below were created by our MD classes. Everyone worked hard to create one-of-a-kind design to raise money for breast cancer awareness. The pumpkins were auctioned off.
I got there at 11 to try and get that King's pumpkin.
You
Gone.
didn't?
Gone. I was all over that. I wanted that pumpkin.
There were so many people there. It was
Yeah,
great.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is that the one you were?
that,
Yeah,
that,
that one.
that big K. Yeah. So if there's an art student who wants to make me a pumpkin, I'll be happy to donate the money to the Pink Ribbon Girls.
I drove by while they were setting up, and it had to be maybe 10 o'clock, 9 or 10, and I almost stopped and thought, I'm gonna get the one I want, and I didn't. And then on my way back, yes, it was a crowd. It was a huge crowd of people. I should have stopped and bought it. Oh, well. I'm with Mrs. Groff. If you know, if you want to recreate that pumpkin, it's 2 more, all about it.
Otherwise, you'll have to wait until next year.
Right.
Oh, I skipped right over. Sunny is the emotional support dog at JF Burns, and he's visiting Miss Contrada's first grade classroom. And yes, Miss Contrada is the daughter of our high school physics teacher, Melanie Contrada. Project Lead the Way at the junior high. Mrs. Hawk was inspired at an air camp to write a grant for drones. The ... I'm sure means she was successful. Her students will learn about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through the use of drones, thanks to the Ohio STEM Learning Network. And the STEM Classroom Grant Program is funded by Battelle. So, and you can see in the one iPad, it's talking about different configurations on how you make the drone go up, down, left, right. So the students were definitely enjoying that. This is Abby Teach's first classroom, and they're doing subtraction. I have to tell you, when I was in school, we were just told memorize the facts. Today, the students are learning, as you can see, the concept of subtraction. For instance, in kindergarten, not pictured, the students use concrete objects. It could be little teddy bears or dice or dominoes, something that they can hold in their hand. In first grade, they're using representations to aid in their understanding. So you can see some are using hash marks, some are using little circles and other whatever they would like to help them know the answer to the problem. So they're getting deeper understanding, and the instruction is certainly based on each child's need and being an independent learner. We're all fighting battles no one else can see. Every day, people around us carry invisible burdens. Maybe it's anxiety, depression, or feelings of isolation. In these times, community and kindness are more important than ever. A small act of kindness, a listening ear, or simply asking, how are you really doing, can make a profound difference in someone's life. Remember, you don't have to go through it alone. We're a school community. We heal together, and sometimes one conversation can change everything. Mrs. Sellers posted this because October the 10th was World Mental Health Day. And last but not least, our Homecoming Parade 2024, and you just look at all of the families that came out to celebrate. The entire parade route was crowded, and thanks so much to the King's Teacher Association for making it so student focused with having the different inflatables out in the practice fields for the younger children and older children to enjoy. And the Ray's students already talked about the Leadership Institute. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
I will make that.
I will second the motion, Mr. Morrow.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfron,
Yes,
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
have a great night, everyone.